Hey girl, hey, my name is Gina DeFord. I'm the founder of Babe Crafted, and I'm going live today with social media pro Jessica Sheehy of Social Savvy. We're going to be talking about content planning. It is so much more fun to tackle social media when you feel like you have a plan and you know what direction you're headed. So that's what we're going to be chatting about. Hi, Paige, welcome. Hi, Sophia, welcome. We're talking about content planning. I'm going to give Jessica a moment to go ahead and join us. I'm going to invite her to the IG live party, and we are going to get this party going. Don't hesitate to put them in the chat because we want to customize this conversation for you. There she
Hey
is.
Gina, how are
Hi.
you?
I'm doing
I'm good. I'm
great.
good.
How are
I'm
you
doing great.
today?
I'm happy it's almost the weekend, and I'm excited to chat about content today.
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. So happy Friday Eve to you, Jessica, and to all the babes who are tuning in. So before we dive into some questions that I have over here for you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and
Yeah,
about
so
Social
my name is
Savvy?
Jessica. I am the owner and founder of Social Savvy. We are a social media marketing and membership company for mainly service-based entrepreneurs who are serving their clients in an impactful way. So we work with clients on management services, and we also have our membership, which is probably my favorite part of the business because we're able to reach so many more entrepreneurs and really give them the tools to content plan for their business, to grow on Instagram. And I mean, we're having this chat here on Instagram. It's such a great platform to meet so many other women entrepreneurs, but also to find our clients and customers. So it's really great to work with them to create a sustainable content plan. And I'm excited to share a little bit more about that today.
Yes, I love that you said the word sustainable. Like we all want to feel comfortable in our businesses, including in our marketing and social media. And I think one way to do that is to set realistic expectations, set realistic guidelines for ourselves. So, can you tell us a little bit about what kinds of content should we be producing each month? Because we're not interested in busy work, right? We want to create content that is a, sustainable for us, but also B, is going to connect with our dream clients and inspire them to ultimately book us for our services and
Absolutely. And
purchase
I
our
loved
products.
what you said about inspire to have our clients, our customers, whatever it looks like for you, we're all selling something. But the way I like to look at it is we're all serving someone in one way or another, whether it's with a service or the incredible product that we've created. So one thing that I really like to recommend is to find a tool, right? Because we're all tech savvy in our own ways. Find a tool that you love to use. And this could be a Google spreadsheet, this could be an Excel sheet, this could be Airtable, Asana, ClickUp, any tool that you love to use. I personally love to use ClickUp. I love the organization of it for managing projects, managing our team, managing client content, but I love it for its content calendar capabilities. And every tool has some sort. If you're using ClickUp, Asana, Trello, anything has a content calendar template that's really easy to use. So finding that tool that you can go to time and time again and know that that can be that, that ground for all of your creative ideas to fall into, and get used to using that for mapping out your content, keeping yourself accountable to posting however many times you want to show up on a social media platform. I also love to use it as a way to store important content. So what I mean by that is we have so much content available at our fingertips that sometimes we put a lot of pressure on, okay, what am I going to post? How am I going to design it in Canva? Okay, I see this trending reel on Instagram. How can I use that for my business? And so many thoughts are flooded in our minds. But in reality, we just really need to think about how can we serve our clients or customers, or let's just say our followers. So the way that I like to do that is to capture all of the things that all the conversations we're having with our clients and customers, whether that's in Instagram DMs, whether that's screenshotting the Zoom chat log of a client, whether you're looking at emails to see not only what they're needing and what you're helping them with, but the words that they're using, because that is where you're going to find a lot of content ideas. So now that you have the tool that you're using, you're starting to build that content bank from your audience, from your followers. The question comes down to, okay, what do I post? There's a lot of different things that they're probably asking you and probably wanting. I think it's a really great method to use 4 content pillars. And I'm going to share what we like to call them at Social Savvy, but I'm sure everyone watching this live and everyone watching the replay has heard of content pillars of some sort. So educational content, personal content, content that's going to get us seen. So sometimes this is called viral content, shareable content. I like to do visible. We're getting visible in front of our people. And finally, selling, promotional, money makers is what I like to call this final content category. So now that we have the 4 things that we know we need to do on social media, from there, that's when we can start really diving deep into those 4 ideas and getting content from it. And sometimes it just takes a planning session with ourselves. I love to schedule a content day. It's where I have no other meetings. I'm not meeting with the team. I'm not meeting with clients. I'm just sitting down, and I'm a pen to paper kind of gal. I know social media. I'm on my phone all the time, so when I can actually like write down an idea and have it come from my head into paper, that's when I can really get my ideas flowing. So with each content pillar, I like to go deeper into where I can, okay, well, what do I need to educate my audience on? Okay, I'm a social media manager. What do people need help with in terms of social media? From there, I can go deeper into a platform, or I can talk about content creation. I can talk about this content planning method. And from there, those kind of umbrella topics is where I can start breaking down specifics. And those specifics, that's going to be my posts. So when it comes to creating content or creating a content plan, and I know we'll touch on what it means to be sustainable, because I think that's also so important when it comes down to it, because we all love social media. We use it probably personally for our businesses, but it can be such a time suck. And this is just one piece of the puzzle within our business. We have so many other hats that we have to wear. So it's about making the most of our social media content creation hats that we're wearing. So creating a content plan with 4 content pillars that are simple. I think a lot of times we try to really overcomplicate it and make the content pillars the things that we do. So I know sometimes people would make their content pillars, I'll use myself as an example. They'll use social media management as a content pillar. They'll use the platforms they manage. Maybe they're solely managing Instagram and TikTok. Those are pillars. And then it becomes harder to really figure out, okay, well, what do I want to talk about that? But when we go about the simple pillars, when we look at, okay, how do I educate on the topic? How do I get visible about the topic? How do I connect with my audience personally? We have so many personal stories inside of us that we can pull out. And then, of course, finally, selling. I think I get a lot of questions in my DMs and in my inbox of, I'm not making as many sales as I'd love to on social media, and I don't really know what's going on. They have beautiful branding, beautiful products, beautiful services. Their client experience is really, really great. They have glowing testimonials, but no one's buying from them. Sometimes it comes down to they're missing that 4th pillar. They're not sharing any content about how we can work with them. And sometimes we can share so much about what we do and who we do it for. We just forget to invite people to have that conversation with us, to work with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for giving us this really amazing overview. We got a really nice bird's eye view of okay, having a tool that we use so we're not having ideas all over the place, and having to try to figure out where did I put that note that I had, our content pillars, which someone had asked for us to reiterate. And those 4 were education, educational content, personal content, viral or visible
Yep.
content, and money-making
Yep. Perfect.
content.
Awesome. I
We
saw
get
you
those
drop
right?
that in the chat, Gina.
Perfect.
Thank you for that. But yeah,
Okay.
those are the 4 pillars. We just got to keep it simple.
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. So can we talk a little bit about, I want to talk about some like social media myths. I feel like part of what makes it so hard to stay consistent on social media and create content that we're proud of is all the different pressures there are with social media. And I feel like there's a lot of like misinformation out there about what works and what doesn't work and how we should be doing things. Can you break down just like a couple common myths about
Absolutely. I
social
think the
media?
first myth I want to touch on is I have to post every single day. And this one kind of spirals from a lot of social media marketers, gurus, of people who have done it themselves. But the thing we have to keep in mind is that that's what they do. That's their bread and butter. They create content all of the time. So it's very easy for them to create daily posts for all of their social media channels. So the way that I like to bust that myth is that we absolutely don't need to create content for every single day of the month. The best way to determine how many times we need to post per month on a platform is our capacity to create that content. So it really comes down to what do we have time to really put out a good quality post. Because the way that I like to think about it is every time we're posting on social media, we want to go quality over quantity. Now, I will kind of touch on why quantity can help in just a second, but quality is so important because oftentimes it's the first time someone is ever introduced to our brand, our business, ourselves. So we want to make sure what we're putting out there is doing one of those pillars that we talked about at the start, right? We're educating, we're being personal, we're helping, or we're serving, we're selling. So it's really important to focus on that. The other part of how many times you should post per day, it comes down to the type of content you want to create. So, and this is going to be a myth that I'll touch on in a second too, where a lot of people say that you should only post video. Video is what you should only do in 2023 and you shouldn't do anything else. And I think an important thing to remember about video content is there's a reason why video should have an emphasis, and it should only be if your audience is on those platforms. So I'm talking about TikTok, I'm talking about maybe longer form videos on YouTube, but if your target audience, so who you're selling your products or services to, if they're not using those platforms, then there's really no need why we need to create content, even if, social media guru number one says we have to do it. And the other part of that is it comes down to what we want to create. As humans, and as most of the time service-based entrepreneurs, we're very creative. I mean, we've created our businesses. We've done so many incredible things. So we're capable of creating great content. But I know not everyone wants to do video content, and that's completely okay. One of the myths that I know is probably not circulated as much anymore since Reels and TikToks have really taken over, is there was a huge emphasis that you had to show up on stories every single day. And that was something that always circulated. And I can say that I definitely never showed up on stories every single day. I time block my weeks. Tuesdays and Thursdays are my Zoom call days, and that's when I'm, quote unquote, camera ready. We're always camera ready, but I know we all have a sense of ourselves that we like to put up a little bit more for video. So it was never consistent for me to show up, especially on Mondays when it's taken me a while to actually get ready for the day. I'm still in my pajamas or loungewear, but there's something to be said about the consistency. So to me, I think being consistent on any social media platform, really any platform at all in business, is different to each of us. So what's consistent for me is probably not consistent for Gina, and vice versa. For all of you watching, we all have a different amount of capacities for creating and putting out content. But whatever that number looks like for you, if it's 6 posts a week, if it's 5, if it's 4, if it's 3, it's completely okay. But be consistent with it and continually put out that content. So that way your audience knows that they're going to hear from you this amount of times per week, and they're going to regularly see you pop up on your feed.
Heck yes. Thank you for breaking those down, because, I think there's a lot of noise when it does come time to create content. We feel like we should be doing this, we should be doing that. And we really have to question that, because, once we can cut out some of that noise, cut out those shoulds and coulds, we can just focus on the task at hand and create some really wonderful pieces of content, whether it is graphics, whether it's videos, writing captions, and just really using that content to connect with our audience. Speaking of connecting with our audience, can we talk a little bit about top performing content? So how do we figure out what our top performing content is, and how can we really maximize that and use that to our best advantage?
One of the ways that I like to look at top performing content is, of course, being a marketer, I have to look at analytics. Analytics tell us a lot that we need to know about the content we're producing, when we're publishing it, and if our audience is really resonating with it. But a lot of times it's important to know that we don't get the full picture from analytics. And I'm not saying that the analytics on the social media platforms are broken or anything like that, but we often don't know those people in our audience who are maybe wanting to inquire about our services soon. Or maybe they're wanting to purchase a product. They just are doing a little bit more research or figuring out if we're the right seller for what we're selling. Then what we don't know is those people who scroll past. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they're tapping through stories on their lunch break, and they're going a little bit quicker, and they can't vote in a poll, or they can't send a DM, or react to the emoji sticker. Maybe they're scrolling and watching reels, and they consistently see the reels that we're putting up, and maybe they like it, and they want to comment and ask a question, or they want to figure out more about what we're selling, but a lot of times they're not engaging. So I like to consider top performing content that has taken people off of social media and into our business. So that could be a number of things. That could be content that really drives people to join our email list. That could be content that wants people to book a discovery call with us. That can be content that maybe somebody reached out and said, hey, I'm buying your product because I saw this post. Now, I know not everyone is going to always tell us exactly when they see a post, okay, I'm sold, I'm going to buy this, or I'm going to do this. But I think that's where it comes into us asking questions to our audience, to our clients, to our customers, to people that we're talking with in the DMs and email, just asking them, what resonated the most with you? And that's where you're going to find the content that just performs really, really well for your audience.
Love it, love it. Especially because you were not saying okay, get the content with the most likes or the most comments. That might not be the biggest indicator of what's actually converting. So, what content is inspiring people to take action and book with you or make a purchase? So can we talk a little bit about content that we can repurpose? So when we're taking this top performing content, how can we, once we identify it, how can we repurpose it? How can we continue to use it?
One thing that we should do regularly is, of course, make sure we're really knowing what's working, what content does really, really well, and we want to take that content. I always like to tag it or flag it in my content calendar. So like I said earlier, I use ClickUp to manage content, and I want to mark it as repurpose. So that way I can use it regularly. So the way that I like to take that piece of content, it really depends on what it is. It depends if it's a video, how can I format it differently? And there's something to keep in mind about repurposing content. It doesn't mean we have to take the same thing, post it again, maybe do the same caption, maybe switch it up. We can completely change the format of it, but it's also important to know that maybe in the new format, it might not perform as well. It could go the opposite way. It could perform even better than before. But it's important to make sure that we're staying true to what the message is. So whenever you're looking at your top performing content, and it'll definitely take some time to start kind of building a bank by seeing what converts really well to your audience, what they're taking action with. So once you do start building that, then you can take the content and you can take a video, you can clip it up into mini stories, you can take it and make it a couple of slides on a carousel. You could also try cross-promoting it to another platform. I know that's probably something that we're doing maybe already. If we're on Instagram and Facebook, we're probably pushing similar content to both channels. But how can we take what's performing really, really well on Instagram and try it another way on Facebook, for example? Or we could put it on another platform. We could throw it on LinkedIn or TikTok, depending on what the content is. But that way, we'll be able to reach more people. So by taking that content and regularly filtering through, and that's where you'll start to notice a trend when you're planning. Maybe you're currently planning February content, and you're probably thinking, okay, what do I need to pull from? You don't have to create all new posts for February. Go to January, go to December, go to November. You can go back several months and see what did really, really well, because I can say that the content that I tag inside of ClickUp for my top performing content, it's content it's evergreen. It's always relevant for my audience. It's not time specific, and it's something that I can talk about over and over again. My audience loves it. They want to know more, and it's always serving them, which is always my mission.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing some of those really great examples. I think that another really common myth for social media is that once you post something, like that's it, like you just kind of like push it to the wayside, but that could not be less true. Like, there are so many things that, we can create this piece of content, and when you go and share it again, like you're not reaching the exact same people. So it's a new pieces of your audience that are seeing that piece of content, and B, like clearly it's still relevant. That's what the beauty of evergreen content is. It's a lot of these like basic principles of what it is that you offer, and you can continue to reintroduce it in different ways. So thank you so much for helping to like bust that myth as well. Is there anything we haven't covered that you'd love to chat a little bit more about, to encourage the wonderful folks that have tuned in today, or maybe watching the replay in the future, and maybe are just feeling like they could use a little more direction and inspiration when it comes to content planning?
I love that we talked about all of the different myths that are happening. And I want to say, when you're planning your content, don't put so much emphasis to make it perfect. Okay, when we're creating our content, we don't need say we're planning for February, right? We're planning around Valentine's Day campaigns, Valentine's Day content. Maybe we're launching something new, or we want to do a collaboration with someone else. So we're talking about those things. We're filling in our content from our content pillars. We're making sure we're touching on all four. So we're educating, we're being personal, we're sharing content that sells, and we're sharing content that'll make us visible to our audience. And we don't have to make it perfect. There's so much pressure that we just put on ourselves as humans and female entrepreneurs to put out the best possible piece of content, especially when you're going for that quality over quantity. But sometimes it comes down to, we just need to put it out into the world and see what our audience resonates with in that message. Because the one thing that is so great about social media is the people. I think the people make the platforms, and our people are going to be there for us. They're going to engage with our content. And if they don't engage with our content, it's never a failure. It's never, I should have done this better, or maybe I should have done a little bit better of a design in Canva, or, okay, I could have filmed that lip sync reel for a fifth time to nail it perfectly. But it's never a failure. It's always, how can we do it again to reach our audience, to impact them?
Love that. Progress over perfection, take messy action. There are so many different ways we've heard this, but you know, these are really important lessons to practice and carry with us. So where can we learn more about you? How can we
Absolutely.
work
Well,
with
thank
you?
you guys for showing up live here with Gina and I. You can find me on Instagram here at Social Savvy HQ. You can tap the link in bio to go to all of the resources that we have. We have a membership that I mentioned that is month to month with social media content and caption templates, but more important, we've got trainings that help keep us up to date with the platform and help us keep consistent with our social media content. And I also have recently launched a podcast called #Manage, which you can find in all of your podcast players that I hope is really great conversations around social media, content, but also entrepreneurship. So definitely feel free to listen to those as well.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm so pumped about your podcast. And thank you everyone who tuned in. Yes, Raina, catch that replay. I'm going to be posting it in the Babe Crafted feed right after we wrap. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing a peek into, you know, what works for you and your business and what works for your clients, and just really
Absolutely.
sharing some awesome
Thanks so much for
inspiration,
having me,
Jessica.
Gina. This has been so much fun. The perfect way to spend my lunch hour. And if you guys are watching this live or the replay, definitely feel free to send me a DM. They're always open for any social media or content questions that you have. I'd love to steer you in the right direction.
Love it, love it. Thank you so much again. Have an amazing day, Jessica. And thank you everyone for